This is the Lockpicker 1969 and welcome to my channel. For part one of the cutting edge video series, the collection in front of me mostly represents my everyday carry knives and tools. Some get carried more regularly than others, but this first knife I more recently acquired is a lock blade. It came with a really nicely made, well-made leather sheath, which was a nice bonus in purchasing this knife. The handle and inlay on the knife is beautiful with the blues and the gold inlay or brass inlay. It just was a stunning knife when I saw it, and I wanted to add it to the collection, so I bought it. But the blade has a Damascus look in the steel. Whether it's truly Damascus or not, I don't know. The blade came exceptionally sharp and holds its edge really well. The spine of the knife is nicely done. It has a nice look to it. It's almost like the spine of a human being or human skeleton with the bones. Almost looks like that. But so the blade release is at the back, as you would expect to find on nicer folding lock blades. I don't typically carry this knife very often for fear of scratching it up, and I do not use it as a utility knife, but more as a dress knife, if there is such a thing as that. So the second knife I also more recently acquired, and this is also a lock blade. It too came with a really nicely made leather sheath in two-tone leather and texture. The handle on the knife is beautiful, with blues, purples, and reds in it, as well as a leather tie-off on the knife for pulling it out of the sheath easier. The knife is capable of being flipped or flicked open, which is a nice feature, so you can get it open rather quickly. Either way, the blade has a Damascus look in the steel, and again, whether it's truly Damascus, I don't know. This blade also came exceptionally sharp and holds its edge very well. And as I pointed out before, the spine of this knife is very similar to the previous one. What I don't like about it is it's rather hollow here. That's the only thing I don't like about this as far as the handle goes. The other part I don't care for on the knife is that the blade release is on the bottom. I don't really care for lock blade knives that use a release that's in the handle itself that you have to essentially push over with your thumb and then close the knife, because frankly that leaves your hand potentially or your finger potentially in the way when you're closing it. But like I said, I typically prefer knives that unlock with it in the back of the handle, not on the bottom. But the beauty of this knife was just too hard to pass up. I also don't carry this knife very often for fear of scratching it up, and I don't use it as a utility knife, but more of a dress knife like the previous one. So anyways, that's this blade here. I couldn't tell you who the manufacturer of that is, but now I have always loved Gerber blades, as they're inexpensive, very durable, and useful as pocket knives, as well as great utility knives. This Gerber knife has a nice rubberized handle, making it easy to hold, and it provides a firm grip. It also has a flip open tab, and you can flick it open as well, so you can either flip it with your thumb or flick it open and locks in place. The blade came exceptionally sharp out of the box. It has some kind of anodized coating on it to protect the blade. It feels, it also includes this serrated or whatever saw type blade edge on it for cutting through thin branches, seat belts, or other things where sawing might be needed. It does feel great in your hand, and it's also very light. The release for the blade is near the top and the back, which is something I prefer, and it makes it really easy to just fold it again. I believe the orange in the handle makes it easier to find in the dark should the knife be dropped by accident. I do use this sheath, which I picked up separately, so that I can basically put this on my belt with other things I carry. The next Gerber knife is similar to the last knife, only smaller. The main difference, other than its size, is that it has a belt clip on it and that the saw part of the blade is slightly smaller. This small knife feels great in your hand and is very light. The release for the blade is also on the top near the back, making it easy to refold again. It has the same orange in the handle, which makes it easier to find in the dark should the knife be dropped by accident. This next Gerber knife is different than the previous two. It does have a nice sheath to go with it. The entire handle is rubberized on this, which makes it easy to hold with a firm grip. The blade does flip open rather easily, and it does lack the sawing capability that the previous two Gerbers did. However, it is very sharp and maintains its edge very well. It feels great in the hand and is light. The release for the blade is underneath the handle, which isn't my preferred release mechanism for lock blades, but I do still love this knife for everyday use. So back in the day, I used to carry a Leatherman multi-tool and lost it long ago. However, I did replace it with this nice Gerber multi-tool. What I like about these tools is they do flip open, lock in place for all the tools on it, making it safe to use. So for example, if I wanted to pull out the actual knife, it does lock in place, so it's not going to move until you unlock it by pulling down on this. So on one side it has a 3-inch ruler, on the other it's an 8mm ruler. It does come with several different tools that are included in this. So not only do you have a full-size set of pliers, which have a good size in your hand, they also include 2 different screwdrivers. You have a Phillips head, there is a can opener, you have your knife, there's scissors, you also have a file in here as well. There's a punch for punching through like things like leather and other items that you might need to punch a hole in. And there's one other item here that I thought was interesting. They include this here, which is great if you need to break glass, or if you need something that has some weight on it to drop like a line or small type of rope. You can do that too with it. But so in purchasing this, it did have a carrying case which didn't really hold up very well. I wound up getting this leather-based case that I could put this into it, which has a nice canter on it, so when it's actually on your belt, that part is facing forward for you and makes it easier for you to grab this out. So whenever I go somewhere and I want to have some tools on me just in case, I throw this on the belt. And then finally, there's another tool here for a multi-tool. This one's by Guidesman. It comes in a rigid, some kind of, I forgot what this material is, but it comes in a very rigid pouch, which is held up really, really well. It does have more heft to it, but it's smaller than the Gerber. Unlike the Gerber, it must be folded open, but once open, they are spring-loaded pliers, which is nice. It does have a rubber handle, which is also nice, making it easier to grip and hold onto, especially if it gets wet. It has a built-in light, which is nice. I'll find that here, so right there. It has a lot of the same tools you find in the Gerber, including a knife, a punch, a file, 2 screwdrivers on one side and a Phillips head on screwdriver on the other side, scissors. It does have a saw, which the Gerber did not have, and it has the can opener just like the Gerber does. This one did come, like I said, it comes with a very nice sheath, so it's a pretty nice setup right from the get-go. Overall, the pliers for this are smaller, but easier to maintain your grip on. Other than that, it's very similar. So these are my daily carry knives and tools. As I am a concealed carrier, I frequently pair one of these up with whatever I'm carrying. I hope you enjoyed this part of the series. The next series I will be doing will be some older knives I've had in my collection. Thank you. Thank you for watching.